on the political scene. We will be going into the NRM, and we know very well that that political party has been conducting what they call expression of interest for the last 1 week for people who actually want to contest for positions on the Central Executive Committee of that political party. And today we heard from the secretary, from the chairperson of the Electoral Commission of that political party, that over 280 out of 300 aspirants have been successfully nominated for the different positions. Now, the main battle seems to be between Speaker Anita Among and the Minister for East African Affairs, Rebecca Alitwala Kadaga, for the position of National Female Vice Chairperson. Now, tomorrow, Party Chairman Yoweri Kaguta Museveni will be at the party headquarters to be officially nominated to contest for the presidency, and if he wins, he will stretch his leadership to 45 years. And we know there were some youth who had appeared at the party secretariat to pick documents to express their interest, but they say they were locked out. But we have heard also from the chairperson of the Electoral Commission that there is another person who picked the documents but is yet to actually return them. So we'll be looking at that situation in the NRM party and what it means for internal democracy, but also in terms of organization as this party gears up to defend its position in the next round of elections. We'll go inside the National Unity Platform Party, where the party president instituted a committee to investigate within 1 week allegations of extortion and sexual favors. This after complaints emerged that some people were being asked to pay money while others were being asked for sexual favors in order to get the party ticket. Now, the method of vetting by this political party to arrive at flag bearers has been questioned by some people who think it's not democratic, transparent, and also some people think it allows such challenges that are surfacing. And we know the party leader, Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, is already, sort of cleared by this political party to run again for the presidency. That's what is pertaining in the National Unity Platform Party, and we'll be looking at that in detail. This week also, we discovered that there is cooperation and alliances. The People's Front for Freedom, a new political party, and the Alliance for National Transformation decided to sign a cooperation agreement to work together during and after these coming elections. The two parties say they have reached out to other political forces and those especially who are looking for political change to work under similar arrangements. The PFF party will be launched officially on Tuesday next week, and its topmost body, the National Convention, comprising of all founders, that is the promoters and those who signed forms to support its registration, will convene then. And one of the other things they're supposed to do is actually to choose another set of leaders to actually drive them into the next elections. Then there have been several public dialogues about the 2026 general elections in and around Kampala. And the constant message or concern that keeps coming out from all this dialogue is the issue of violence and the role of security in the election process. Now, while Ugandans and Uganda Human Rights Commission are insisting that UPDF should stay out of these elections, government team has insisted that the UPDF acts within the law and has been invited on several occasions by the police, who are mandated to keep law and order during elections, to support them. Now, the Electoral Commission says it has no direct control of the security system, but has constantly urged them to avoid situations that will lead to violence. We'll be discussing that matter further in details. The panel is supposed to have 4 people. 3 are already in studio. Mr. Majela Peter Gwayaka is a lawyer, executive director at Denver. He's also a pundit on governance and human rights issues. Good evening, Sebo. It's a pleasure having you on Spectrum Extra today.
Good evening, listeners. Glad to be here.
Also in studio, the Honorable Waiswa Alex Mufumbiro, Deputy Spokesperson, National Unity Platform Party. Waiswa is also running in Nakawa East for Member of Parliament. We will discuss that issue also in detail, because there are people who are also asking questions about why you're running in Nakawa East. Good evening. It's a pleasure having you on Spectrum Extra.
It's always certainly a pleasure being on this platform, and I hope I'm an addition of value to this evening's submission. I so pray.
Thank you so much. Mr. Timothy Chimonges, Executive Director, Parliamentary Watch, and also at the Center for Policy Analysis, is our third panelist. Good evening, sir. It's always a pleasure having you on this panel.
Good evening, Anderson. Good evening to the panelists, to the listeners. Good to be here and looking forward to a very fruitful discussion. Thank you.
All right, we expect to be joined by Dr. James Tweheyo, member of the NRM Central Executive Committee representing workers. He's also a member of the Electoral Commission of that political party. So, because Honorable Dr. Twaheo is not here at the moment, and yet he should have given us a deep analysis of the situation in the NRM or an update for us to discuss better. We'll amend our order paper a little bit and begin with the National Unity Platform, whose deputy spokesperson is here. Mr. Mufumbiro, give us an update about what has transpired in your political party this week. There are some issues that are summarized here. Maybe they are not comprehensive enough. Maybe there are some issues that are lacking in fact. Maybe you can give us a thorough update on what has happened in your political party this week.
This week we started with Monday, and on Monday we had a press conference that was, first of all, giving us a status report as a country to the ongoing zone, the registration, those who have had expression of interest, and the total number of those who have requested to vie for Member of Parliament, about 8,000 people. 8,000? No, not Parliament, on all
positions.
Placements. We have so far about 8,000 persons returned. Member of Parliament, the persons who have returned expression of interest for Member of Parliament are 930. Those on the district level are about 190, among others. So we needed to get those statements of fact from the Electoral Management Committee, but also to give an update on what was the ongoing zone of the National Unity Platform. On Monday, we also discussed, of course, what happened in the city on Saturday when goons and hooligans that have been under management of the ghetto structure. Now this is led by Afande Damulida, that on the nomination day or return of expression of interest of Genome 7, they unleashed them in town, and we have a dead person, a lady called Namikolo, something like that, who passed on. She was beaten badly by the goons, and we are yet to get at least a substantive report from the security forces on the same, because even those that they arrested have claimed innocence. And as advocates of human rights, I believe that it is not something they should do to satisfy the population that something has been done, but rightly so, arrest the true culprits of this mayhem, including the leadership of this ghetto structure. Because we have had death in this city about the ghetto structure. In Machindi, some time back, the ghetto structure was empowered with guns, and they killed people. I think that is about 4 or 5 months ago. As I speak now, there were young men who were killed, still 6 of them, from the ghettos in Machindi. And these were killed by security operatives. You remember the saga at Acacia, the 6 people who were gunned down, telling the country that they had robbed something. Up to now, we have not had a report. So that was something we discussed as NUP. We question it. We believe that we desire answers, and the ongoing abductions and arrests were also discussed. I think what is more about the people, what the people want to know from the NUP now is the electoral processes, as you have put it down here. Now, the Constitution of 2004 has dimensions of how a candidate is arrived at, and the process that is enshrined in the 2004 Constitution is that there is a vetting system, and then the vetting system also helps with some marks. In this essence, the National Executive Committee sat, and that is 40%. Then 60% is from the population, because remember, National Unity Platform is anchored on the power of the people. Therefore, the people must always be the loudest voice in the decisions that we make as National Unity Platform. Hitherto to that, we decided that the people power have 60%, because they do the actual voting, And then these other issues that entail the values of the party, the conduct of the people, the discipline and others, marks will be got from the vetting process.
All right. But before you go a little bit deeper there, we want you to explain how you arrive at the 40% and the 60% in this vetting.
The 40%,
what do you look at?
Is vetting, it is questioning. It looks at loyalty of the party, your understanding of values of the party, your previous activeness towards the liberation cause we are in. We look at what makes the candidate. A lot of things are put into synchronization at the vetting process. It's more about the aptness of the candidate, because you know where you're going in parliament. If you're going to be a member of parliament in that particular constituency, you are the political leader cream. Therefore, we do not want to give one who is not sufficient enough, ready enough to face the challenges. One must be put to test of answering and questioning, because where they are going is going to be a tight procedure. So the questions are arrived at by the party secretariat, the electoral management committee, and then they are independently given to the person supposed to do the vetting, and then they'll return the results. It is always a panel of 3 to 5, depending on the urgency and the competitiveness in that particular constituency.
All right, those are 40%.
That's the 40%. Then the 60% is accrued from the population. We send a researching team on the ground. It would be more as a collection of opinion poll of what the people believe should be their candidate. And then after getting the opinion poll or the poll of that desired candidate by our people on the ground, in the field, those marks are tallied in accordance to the weight that you have on the ground. Now, once we discover the weight that you have on the ground, we get the marks got from the ground, add them to the marks that have been got from the vetting committee, and then we will arrive at a candidate. That is the processes of how the National Unity Platform gets to a candidate.
All right.
And these people who go out to do the research are not known to the candidates. They are known to very, very, very few people who hold the highest values of the party and cannot condescend on returning a person who does not deserve to be. And it has worked. It did work in the 2021 elections because for the first time we had a return of over 57, and also it did work in the by-elections that we had. Most importantly, the one that Ugandans remember is the one of Nalkola. If you remember, it was a very tight race. It had one of our own, Magala Umar, who had been in prison for some time. It had Nalkola himself, now the member of parliament, honorable, and other members. So as a party, you want to be as magnanimous in this process as possible, such that you leave no stone unturned, not to create again havoc and mayhem in your supporters on ground after you choose one who does not condescend with the true realities of the constituents. And that is the basis at which we arrive at the results. It must be a reflection of what the constituents are saying, and it must be a reflection of the topmost leader cream on the vying candidates for that particular position.
Now, before I go to your colleagues on the panel, there are complaints that have emerged. Some people are complaining that, one, they are being asked to pay money in order to be given the flag. Some ladies have complained about sexual harassment, including sexual favors. How is the party treating these allegations?
I have not had one speak about sex, but I don't want to rule it out if it is there.
Well, your party leader mentioned it.
No, I'm saying
in his speech.
Yeah, if you hear allegations as a leader, you must act. And what we did now as a lawyer, the doctrine of fair hearing must be espoused. So we have asked those with complaints. They have been given a whole week. We have instituted a committee led by Honorable Tukushaba, our Deputy President Western Uganda, and other select members of the committee to look into this matter. First of all, people should file, the Deputy Secretary General among others, people should file their official complaint, and then that official complaint will be looked into by that committee and then file a report to the president, because he's the one who has instituted it, and then also reconcile with the electoral management committee. This has been done in good faith, because there are people out there who are complaining that there are leaders amongst us who are desiring to get money from them. And I can tell you, we are in a very, very, very problematic country. I have somebody called me, and in his mind, he thought that I can also be extorted. And he was telling me how he can assist me have the party ticket. Now I am the deputy spokesperson. But you know, fraudsters, I'm told they will throw their cards in all the spaces for them to grab. I have also heard of a story of one other individual who was called outside the premises of NUP by somebody that they didn't know, and then they were telling them to pay money and their card is sorted. So it's true, they are extortionists who may not even be party members, but are doing it in the name of the party. Sometimes some of us leaders are so scarce that getting to us is a problem, or even when we are available, the people who are desirous and around us think we are not available, and they are duped into all those systems. So this committee, this commission, this inquiry will help us get to the facts and then react in accordance with what has been returned as from the committee.
All
so
right.
the committee is looking at making it clean, but I want to tell the country that our processes are independent, they are frugal, they are clean, despite the fact that there will be some few elements who will always want to spoil the system. And what we have discovered is that many of these people actually do not have any locus standi on the processes that are going on. I will give you an example. If anybody out there, our people, I receive calls as the deputy spokesperson also from our members who think that by virtue of my position, I should be able to influence who gets the party ticket. And I have categorically
not
stated
just your position. You are always closer to the parties, to the leader, the principal. That's how you call him.
well, there are those who believe that our closeness
You can whisper good things in his ear.
but you see, it is not you know, when you're dealing with the national, we are talking about 9,000 candidates. There is no way, if you are a true leader, that you would condescend on understanding the thoughts of 9,000, of what is being thought about of 9,000 people. And these 9,000 people are your members. So if you begin to choose who over the other, it means you yourself are breaking the cohesion. And what we are preaching at this time in election time is unity and cohesion. So those who have reached out to me, I have told them that it is very difficult for me, whether I am known to you, because we are in a small world, we are nearly all relatives. Before you know it, you have a relative standing in your village. Before you know it, you have a relative standing in a particular place. Now, how are you going to begin handpicking relative in the powers that be of managing the process of elections?
Now, Mr. Mufumbiro,
My duty as an office will be probably to speak for the results.
all right.
So
Now,
there's no way I'll speak for the results fairly if I was part of the process that brought candidates.
well, you stated that this is in your old constitution.
2004 constitution.
Is this changing in the new constitution that you submitted to,
Now, in the new
to the
constitution,
electoral commission?
we have, yes.
Are we likely to see adult suffrage? People.
We actually have adult suffrage in our new constitution. We have adult suffrage in our new constitution, but we also have this. In the new constitution, there's an input of 3 forms of how we can organize this. But the limitation of us doing adult suffrage is the political environment that we are operating in. It does not give us, one, the sufficient opportunity, time, and then the liabilities. The liabilities are all on our side, because as you remember, as you know, what happened in the youth election, what has happened in the other elections, all our activities are stopped by the military, by the security, the infiltration by by the state. Now, when you have all that in the mind, you must find a system that at least will be watertight from infiltration.
All right.
And this system serves that purpose. It avoids infiltration, but also it gives us an expedited process, or which will not easily be stopped by the system, because you need to go out there to the population. The benchmark on that is that the people who carry out the research must be of utmost honesty, must be they must understand that they are dealing with something that is going to affect the whole nation.
All right, analysis. Mr. Waiswa Alex Mufumbiro, Deputy Spokesperson at the National Unity Platform Party, and Mr. Majela Peter Gwayaka, Lawyer and Executive Director, Geneva. We're also expecting Dr. James Twehe from the NRM to join us. Now, gentlemen, you heard from Mr. Mufumbiro explaining in detail what transpires, the process they are using to arrive at candidates. And the reason we're discussing this is because of the complaints that have come out. And I want to begin with you, Mr. Peter Majela Gwayaka. What's your quick take on this system that the NUP is using? They are saying it's constitutional, part of their constitution, but also helps them to avoid challenges, including infiltration.
Okay, thank you so much. Good evening, listeners, once again. I have mixed feeling. Maybe I must say, first, I haven't read the NUP constitution, so that might limit how much I can contribute on this. But when I look at the prevailing situation, I think that's a wise idea in terms of the prevailing political environment. So chances are that you'd have tear gas mobilizing, NUP mobilizing elections. Probably they would have a number of tear gas, and maybe on that day they would wake up to security surrounding their offices and the things we've gotten used to seeing. I see that, and actually I can even predict that probably when everything is collected, like those documents, chances are that the security people will visit them and documents will disappear here and there, accusations and counter accusations. Yeah, that's going to happen. The research, listening to how they are doing this, yes, it's a good way, though it's subject to abuse. So my fear is that it could potentially be abused, either through data analysis, through data collection, because this is a relatively not known way of collecting information. So it looks like NUP has sort of moved underground. Probably no one knows who they consult to arrive at who is popular and who is not.
When it says they go to your constituency where you want to compete, and they ask between Chemonges and Majela, who do you think should be your candidate here? Yeah,
of course, but that would require to have a sizable number of voters being interviewed. I don't think they have interviewed such a big number. Maybe they have, but and that's why I'm saying it's subject to abuse. If they interview 100 people in a place where there are 20,000 voters, will we say that is representative enough?
Sampling.
Yeah, sampling, but even sampling statistically, statistics gives us what would be a representative sample. I don't see any constituency where the representative sample would be probably below like 1,000 people. Of course, that now becomes a challenge. It's probably internally for them to sort out. And that, the fact that that is not known, it has given way to what we are hearing. People saying these positions are being bought. Even in situations where, and this is what I find strange, even in situations where someone has publicly put out a letter saying, I'm giving way to Kenneth, then you'll find people commenting and say, no, it's because Kenneth is closer to the principal, that's why Peter has written this letter, which I find a bit strange, because if Kenneth has written a letter, maybe was he forced? Was there some, and he hasn't complained? You know, that's why I'm giving them some benefit of doubt. I like the fact that they've put up this committee to look into the allegations. I think that's the best thing the party can do. However, I still have questions about it.
Go ahead.
The questions I have are that, how free are people to make complaints? For example, if I'm a woman who I'm having a sexual assault complaint, what structures has NUP put in place that you will complain, you will not be victimized, and victimizing might not even come from the party. Victimizing might come from outside the party, and as we know in this country, those things happen. So is there some sort of protecting, sort of whistleblower protection? How do you protect these people? How confident is this NUP member that if I walk to this committee, I'll be heard and I'll get justice out of it? So NUP as a party needs to work on that. It's one thing to put up a committee, and it's another thing for someone to trust the committee. And it's also not clear, what I don't seem to find, I don't know, maybe it's in their constitution, what happens if they found that Peter took money to nominate someone? What happens? It's not out there. Like maybe they will say Peter will be, maybe the flag will be removed. What's going to happen? So if I'm going to complain, to file my complaint, I need to know what I should expect at the end of
the process.
All right.
Yeah. Let's go to Mr. Chamonges. Good enough we have Mr. Mufumbiro in studio. He will respond to those issues. But very quickly, Mr. Chamonges, your insights on this NUP system.
So, I should start by saying and commending NUP. They're operating under a very tough environment, and sometimes being able to put that resilience and pushing on is very commendable. We can only encourage them to keep up. I think for me, I have 4 issues in light of the submissions that Honorable Alex has presented. So there are close to 8,000 candidates who have presented their interest across all positions. And that the mechanism of the 40 and 60 for me, I'm looking at the time period between the time of the extension, when the extension will be ending, and when EC should be, which should be a month and thereabout, which is very small time. It's a very small time now, because if you're looking at all these candidates, I don't know if we've been part of interviews, you'll understand that if you are taking an average of, let's say, 5 or maybe 5 to 10 minutes per candidate, and you have 8,000 candidates, for them to get all equitable time to be listened to and questioned, just to use the 40, that time is not there, unless maybe it's an AI system. But to the extent that it's human, the time is limited and it's subject to abuse. And I think that would be an area that maybe I would interest us to maybe take some interest in. Of course, the other is around the issue of the party leadership and having the structures that the members can definitely trust and can submit to, which I think there's definitely been some assurances in terms of these structures. But I think that in terms of those structures being able to respond and to create some level of confidence, both for the members and for the country, is something that for us will be looking forward to. And of course, lastly, is I think that I've just mentioned maybe to Alex, and he seemed to say that's not very accurate, but the direction, at least that I saw recently from EC, it seemed to suggest that all candidates irrespective of whether you did verify your academic documents previously through through UNEB.
And the National Council for Higher
Yes, of the
Education.
National UNEB. Those must be resubmitted and re-verified. Now, my concern is, it's not the first time I'm hearing this. A couple of weeks again I had this. And probably this would put the members, at least those that have been nominated, in a very bad place. If at the time of nomination comes and the party was advising otherwise, and many of them may end up missing out, which may place the party in a very...
So the timelines are critical.
Yes. And then lastly, I think there is also an issue that I think NUP should be able to address, especially when it comes to the leadership structures, where you see the party leadership competing literally with the members for elected positions. So you have Honorable Alex here, who is the deputy spokesperson, vying for an MP position.
So you think if you're an executive member,
I think there should be a clear distinction of the party, because again, you create some
the
sort
secretariat members should not be running for elections.
Yeah,
That's
it
what you're
creates
saying.
a bit of conflict of interest, and that you start seeing the competition between, the
Secretary General
and the
party member
and
or
the
something
party
like that.
members. And for better times, you'll see that if you have a candidate running against, for example, Alex, definitely Alex has an upper hand. So it's close to impossible. So you'll find that those are sort of grievances that start arising, and members start saying there is unfair issues which may breed some sort of conflict within the party.
All right.
Yeah.
Now let's go to Mr. Alex Mufumbiro to respond to some of these issues. Alex, you've heard from your colleagues here on the table. Much as they welcome, your system of vetting or arriving at the candidates, they have a couple of questions that they have put across. And if you can kindly clarify.
Sure. I want to thank them for their both positive criticism and adage to my submissions. We will work around them because it comes from very good brains. How free are people to make complaints? We want to make it so free. If you look at the choice of the people we put on the team, we have Honorable Tukushaba. She's from far western Uganda. The Deputy Secretary General is a woman. So there's some fairness and confidence, especially I think on the sexual aspect, if there are women who are in charge of getting, mothers who are in charge of getting this as a return. We want also to ask our people that they should feel free and come up with these complaints, because sometimes it's very difficult to act when you do not have a bold victim. So we're calling on all those people who may be victims, because we did not run away from it. It might have occurred. We welcomed the complaint that we had loudly out there, and then invited them to bring it in. You see, the issue of money, like bribery, I can tell you, if you look at the members of parliament of NUP of the last term, many of them were not financially stable. If you remember, when they had just been sworn in, I have a member of parliament, I had to ask friends to buy for her clothes. She was intellectually upright, she was a true representation of the people, but she did not have these other extras that make her a full candidate. And personally, I went out and said, no, we have this candidate, she's too good, we need to take her on. We had a candidate in Jinja called Manjeri Chebakutika. She's the member of parliament now. Manjeri Chebakutika was a hawker of bras, women bras. Then she got interest in running for MP. She beat a consultant, an international consultant, to the ticket. Now, if it was money, then the international consultant, with billboards, by the way, she put her opponent put up billboards in the city. She's one of the candidates only who put up billboards, and she didn't get the ticket, because you want to be. There's no way you're having a person running for president or MP, and then he's choosing an ungrounded councillor to do the groundwork. That is why we try as much as possible to be thorough. I want to call upon the victims, if they are out there, to be bold and then we put this matter to rest. Because if they don't come out, then it puts us in a critical situation of how to make decision. On the issue of remedy, we have been characterized as the most extremist party because of the way we handle indiscipline. You know, we handled the indiscipline of a deputy president. God forbid, let anybody be proven guilty of this criminal act of soliciting money and sex from our people. You will see that person will first of all automatically lose the ticket. The person they worked with to receive that money will also be subjected to disciplinary action. If that person is also running, that person will also be removed from the ticket. That person, if he's holding office in the NUP, that person will be suspended and subjected to the disciplinary processes of the party. Because now this is a committee. Once it gives findings, then these findings will be subjected to other party organs after we have read the report. But also, the Commission of Inquiry helps us to strengthen the processes, because it will, in their terms of reference, they don't only come up with listening to the people, but after listening to the people, they must come up with a report with how we can maneuver in this situation if it so happens. So I think I've put together the issue of confidence of members. How do we build the confidence of members? I think by being deliberately honest with the processes, and knowing we as leaders that what we are building is not for us. What we are building is institutional. So if we want to break an institution, break it at its birth. Time, you have really espoused something that has also made me think more twice. It is something I'm going to discuss within the party. I need to understand how quick the electoral management committee is going to do this. But what I know, the most competitive placements are chairman of the district, the mayors, and the members of parliament. But these other huge numbers of councillors, I think the party will use a decentralized system of our party structure, because in every constituency we have a registrar. In every constituency we have a registrar. Now that registrar works with different organs of the party. That's the beginning of the structure. And that one is more of a bureaucrat. For him is to organize and manage the people. Now, all our registrars are not supposed to be running, because they are going to run the processes in a decentralized system. There will be teams down on the constituencies that will carry out this work, because we have that party structure supervised by the election management committee. I think that's the only way we can beat time, and I think that's the only method they have chosen to take. Honestly, I hadn't addressed my mind to it. I don't want to be here and lie to the public, but I think that's the modus operandi that can suit the issue of time. But I can promise the listeners that in my next public press interaction, you have brought a very, very, very vivid point. I will come out very clear about it.
All right,
thank you.
Gentlemen, you're satisfied with his explanation? You still have pending issues? Very quickly.
On the question of time?
I
think he still has an issue in terms of the competing interest of
yes,
leaders.
Leaders. Now, we find ourselves in a very, very difficult situation.
And even before you make your submission on that particular issue, I'll give you an example. People, for instance, saying that the Honorable Balimwezo has actually been pushed out from Nakawa East because you, a person who is closer to Honorable Chagulanyi, and the power brokers in NUP wants to run in Nakawa East. So
the last time
Balimwezo is sacrificed to be knocked out apparently by Elias Lukwago.
First of all,
his political life is completely done.
I don't know whether has the election ended.
It hasn't.
Then why do you think that one will beat the other? I want to tell you, we are the National Unity Platform. We need all positions. You cannot be vying for presidency and then you don't want to vie for Lord Mayor. That means you're not doing politics. You cannot own the country and you don't own the city. Unless you have not known Balimwezo. Honorable Balimwezo, first of all, has been an expert at local government.
True.
And he himself has said it severally. This is a position he has desired. I did not declare first my intentions. The intentions for Lord Mayor were declared first by the Honorable Balimwezo. I only found space of shoes where I live that I can take over. I am a resident of Mutungo Zone 5. I am a member, a Fathers Union of the Anglican Church of St. Stephen Luzira. I am working very closely as an administrator in the football club down there in Mutungo. So I have been around, and for somebody to think that it is being brokered, that is wrong. We need to win the mayoral race. We are all out for the mayoral race, and I want to tell you that Honorable Balimwezo is very close to the party than people will imagine. He's fit for the job. He was a mayor for 5 years, Nakawa. I think of all the local government mayors, is the one who went with most accolades, both local and internationally. He's a born-again man. He's sport clean. He's not known in any corrupt scandal. He served councillor. He served youth councillorship. He served the mayor. He served LOC2. And he believes, if you listen to him, as an engineer, that the challenges of this city, he will work very well on them, including the drainage system. He's an expert on rubbish. You know, Kampala City, people died because of rubbish. So we have not just brought a novice. The person who is presenting himself for mayor is confident enough. He has been winning elections all his time. So I don't know why you are now thinking that he will not win this election. This is a person coming with the whole division in his hands as a block vote. Eh? He's coming with the whole division in his hands, and all the members of NUP are going to be rallied to support the Honorable Balimwezo for Lord Mayorship. The challenge we had the other time is that the candidate we had later on was scared out of the race by different players, and this time I think the Honorable Balimwezo, you would try him out on your show here, try him out. Bring him, and then also carry out an opinion poll, because the last I have had, all the opinion polls on each radio station that I have had, he has won them. So I would also request you that do a private opinion poll on this radio station, because it is listened to by so many people. You will be shocked. I can tell you, in 2026, you will be having a new Lord Mayor.
So you have left your people in the village where you ran last time. And people are saying that, look, if NUP is serious, some of its prominent leaders should be going back in the village and reducing the number of seats that NRM is getting. So what happens in the area where you ran last time?
The area where I ran last time, maybe for the public, was won by a person from FDC called Honorable Batua, Dr. Batua.
Okay.
What I did
Batua has crossed.
Batua is now in NUP.
Right.
So my position where I stood is occupied by an incumbent. So unless somebody wants to say that we are not mathematically correct, how would I via an incumbent who I have lured into our marriage and then sabotage them for their interests? In my position where I stood the other time, the person in charge of that position is an incumbent and is NUP. Where I am buried.
Where you will be buried.
Where I will be buried. I can tell you that it's not one candidate competing. They are also in primaries. So what we did as leaders after 2021, and this has been work in progress, is to inspire people more than Waiswa. Because you think I am standing in Nakawa, I can be abducted tomorrow. You know, we are candidates of abduction, we are candidates of murder, we are candidates of all sorts of bad mannerism by this regime. Now, if we are the only ones, then we are wrong. What we did is to inspire so many people. That is why, if you look around, for the first time, you have an opposition political party that is finding a problem getting candidates. It's simply because many have been invited to the process. And I can assure you that all is good and sound to these placements. Me as an individual, I am ready to serve the people of Nakawa East, and I'm not also replacing normal shoes. Honorable Balimwezo is quite a heavy load of shoes, and having the opportunity to serve after him, I think is something that will be monumental in my life.
All right.
We have not pushed anybody. He has talked about the issue of other now, I was saying, you see, I am now the deputy spokesperson. But there are so many things that we can do to change this country. And part of the things that we believe has been a disservice to this country is the doctrine of separation of powers being affected, and that's the legislature. We therefore think as a party that the leader cream of the party ought to go to the third arm of government. Since we have one tasseling it out with the presidency, let's have also this sanity in the third arm of government. Just if you've looked at their budgets and their operations, they're going away with over 1 trillion shillings. We must look at the allocation of resources in this country, and therefore NUP is presenting its best at all positions to come and do this service.
Right.
In NUP, there are no permanent offices. All offices are encumbered with a 2-term limit. So there is no space where we are working as the alpha and omega. We are very certain that either tomorrow or the other day, we will be leaving the stage for these that we are nurturing to take over. The leaders in the party are competing fairly and squarely.
All right.
In my constituency, I have 4 people competing with me, and I don't think anybody has had them come out and say they are being suffocated by the process.
All right, Spectrum Extra on Radio 1. I'll begin with this comment from Amo Martin, listening in from Bali. Says the selection method by NUP basically favors candidates prepared by Bobby Wine. Opinion polls change almost every day. A strong candidate at the beginning of data collection may end up being the weakest candidate at the end of the same data collection for a given constituency. We have Motebi Moses listening in from Ginger Main Street West. He says, hello, Spectrum Extra. It's good to bring this gentleman. Ask Mr. Mufumbiro. You first contested in Ginger East, then Ginger West in the last election. This time Nakawa East. How and why? Extending NUP to Busoga, leave Buganda. Mr. Mufumbiro, you are very good at abusing people. E.g. Dr. Besije, Honorable Bwanika, etc. Why don't you do the same to General Muhoozi Kainerugaba? I don't know why he wants you to abuse Muhoozi Kainerugaba. NUP's method of selecting candidates is not documented anywhere in the world in a political contest on the following grounds. 1, the approach method of data collection. 2, how do they define popularity? Otherwise, you see the kind of leaders they bring to parliament. Thirdly, they say they are operating in a tough environment. Why not use electoral colleges that are known? Fourthly, the data collected lacks validity and can't guarantee transparency. Fifth, how do they determine the sample size and the respondents? That's a comment from Stan, who is listening in to this show. Good evening, Spectrum Extra. For long, people have been saying NRM rents voters to attend rallies. Some of the people who stole and beat people in broad daylight during NRM activity and have been arrested have confessed they were bought with 10,000 to attend a function when the president was picking nomination forms. I want Honorable Twehe to tell listeners why pay people to attend rallies. That's Moses listening in from Kampala. How I wish the population could get sufficiently angry at this mistreatment and vote people out. All the convenience at road closures, and foolishly we accept to keep people in power. It only happens in countries where the ordinary are in a state of helplessness and powerlessness. Mufumbiro, money is not the only success factor in an election. Do you mean the NUP guys who won in most parts of Buganda were the richest? I think it's a response to what you said, that some of the candidates who went to parliament were actually blocked. Somebody else is asking, can you tell us who is the second person eyeing the Nakawa East card? Because you talked about having competition in that particular constituency. Can Umulongo Waiswa educate me on how smart that 40% is, specific measurable at royalty, history of activism in the so-called struggle? Then we also have another comment here. Ask Waiswa for me. Polling is a professional scientific process. Opinion poll is even more delicate. Other than an intent to conceal fraud and rig unsuspecting members out through the rather obscure research by a handful of people whose professional capability in terms of research is doubtful, why can't NUP use the hefty money they get from EC to hire a firm like Ipsos or Infotrack to determine the popularity of their candidates, since they employ all manner of excuses to avoid democratic processes where party members choose their own leaders? That's a comment from Manziri, a resident and voter in Nakawa East. Now that one, you need to win him over. Well, those are some of the comments that are coming in. Very quickly, I'll give you an opportunity to respond to them, Mr. Mufumbiro, and then we'll move on to another topic of discussion.
I thank them. It is not anywhere in the world, but it is in Uganda. I've just said that NUP is doing the same. So for you to say it's not anywhere in the world, I think that's a mistake. Secondly, I don't think there are many places in the world where democracy is operating like in Uganda, unless you are living from a different world. when we wanted to do a youth conversion at the party headquarters, we were raided by the Special Forces Command. We have many of our people abducted, so we are not operating in normal environment that we would wish to have. Secondly, you know that we tried to promulgate our new amended constitution, the written constitution of 2004. You see, our party was a small briefcase party. It only exploded beyond measure in 2021. And of course, the way a small party was being managed, until you have a different constitution from the founders who are few, then you will have change. And that we have done in the process of amending our constitution. We would love to have all these processes, and it is work in progress. That's what I can tell that brother of mine. I abuse Bwanika, Dr. Vij, why not Muhozi? I think this is a new listener to these radio programs. He doesn't know Alex Wise from Mufumbiro. I have not spoken a word to Mr. Bwanika. Dr. Vij, actually, many people do not know about me and Dr. Vij. And on Friday last week, I had an opportunity to interface with Dr. Vij in prison. My political career started with Dr. Vij. And we have very good relations with Dr. Vij. But I'm the type of person where I disagree on a point, even if you're my friend, I will disagree with you. I don't have any record where I have insulted Dr. Vij. You cannot insult your mentor, somebody you looked after, to do whatever you are doing. It would be very wrong of me. So, Mr. Young Man, I know some of you are implored to have a day in these shows. You have had your day, but your facts need to be checked. I do not have a culture of abuse. I am a person who has grown up by very senior people. I was born by a person at the bench. So how do you think that I do not have the decorum of speech? If I was, I would not be appearing on these talk shows. But I know I am extreme on certain points of matters of life. That one, I'm very sorry if you feel offended. And then, I don't know, you talked about Bwanika. I don't know why you talk about Bwanika. Bwanika is a member of parliament, former of NUP, and he came through the processes that this very person is abusing. The very processes of the Bwanika you're talking about is a product of that process. So you are simply aloof of what you're saying. But we understand this is time for the hood rats to work day and night when they are paid, and sufficiently you have brought your point home. He also stated on the issue of Nakawa East, Ginger West, and he was not on radio. Ginger East is Paul Mwiru, Ginger West is Dr. Batua, and Nakawa East. Every election is a different, is an independent election. That is what people don't know. That's why somebody who stood for councillor the other time today can stand for MP. Every election is an independent election of the other. But it takes a very, very apt brain to understand that. And then there are reasons why people participate in elections. There must always be reasons. The very reason why I'm contesting now is that I want to go to the House and represent the people of Nakawa East with the ideas of the National Unity Platform. Money is not only what is needed, but that is what I was saying. I wonder whether that person listened to me. I was qualifying my analysis to the fact that if we were basing on money, many of the people who returned the other time did not have even capacity to buy the tickets to the amounts of money that you are saying. That's why I gave you an example of one who became an MP when she was a vendor, a hawker of bras. I was giving you an example that in
be reminded how Honorable Romushana came to Parliament. You remember him?
Romushana.
Yes, he came to actually to Constituent Assembly.
Yeah, so for me, I know for a fact that this is what I was saying, that money is not the issue, and it cannot be true that our people are so rich. If we wanted rich people, would have reached out to people like Sudil and told them, please come and contest for mayor. But we want leaders, because one of our core values is service above self. The 40%, of course, somebody is asking how they get to the 40%. The 40% is like an interview. The vetting process then is like an interview, where you are presented with matters that concern your party that you want to represent, and how you answer those questions is how you receive the marks. Each of the questions as set out will have particular marks, so how you answer the questions is how you get your marks. It is simple. I don't think that will be a problem. But of course, every every system might have a lacuna that you need to tie up, and once we see where a lacuna is, we will quickly tie it up. And it has been stated by comrade here. I told you that even when I'm here, I listen that the people personally, the human resource can be abused, the people handling the system, and then they can pull different data. I think that is something that we must make sure that it is not done, and we choose people. Then this one saying polling is a professional process. Why are you not using the too much? He even thinks we have too much money. Now this one is suffering from that. He
said you get money from the Electoral Commission.
Yeah, but
money.
has he told people that we are the only party with a big, very big headquarter? We are the only party with a school of leadership. So whatever is talk about money is being put to use, and every year this money is audited by the Auditor General.
Right.
So I wanted that to come home. However, the issue of professional bodies doing this work, what makes him think that we have not hired these professional bodies? The reason why I don't want to tell you who is doing this work is because I know that if people get to know who is doing the work, actually, they may reach out to those people. But we are doing it very professionally, because we don't want to kill our party by choosing leaders that are not anchored on the power of the people. That is why we take full advantage of the support in the people. And I can tell you, because I know I have as an individual, there are places I can get to the max. I've just been here. He's telling you what is in Kapchora. Now, if I get sober brains, because you'll have the elites, you will have members of the district, you'll have the border cyclists, you'll have a clear portion. He was speaking about the number of 1,000. I think that is what we can up to our game to, and say, the sample space should not be less than 2,000 people. That can be work in progress, but the work is being done with honesty, because we want the true reflection of the people. There is no Ebyana and Abana. Then somebody asked me, who are those I am contesting with? I'm contesting with Mr. Okot. I am contesting with Lubega Martin. I'm contesting with Vian Muonge. I am contesting with a brother of mine called Kasim. So we are contesting, and I am very proud that we are in a process which has not created acrimony, and people are carrying out their campaigns. If you go to my constituency, even this coming here, I had just left a consensus meeting of leaders, all of us who are contesting, those who are contesting with me, those who are because we are a same family. We want to do it with a lot of decorum, such that we don't get out bruised. There are a lot of interests you will not imagine, and in these interests that are there, you can only survive by processes of the party that have clarity to fairness, and that is as a leadership we are doing.
All right. Well, time is not on our side, but we need to move very fast. We have two other issues that to actually talk about, but let's look at the issue of election violence, and I want to begin with you, Mr. Chemonges. We were at a forum yesterday where
we
issues...
have skipped Party Cooperation Alliance.
We are going to discuss it, where we had issues to do with electoral violence and the concerns which were there. Sitting in that room yesterday at Hotel Africana, what feeling did you get? Why are we continuing to see a constant fear about electoral related violence in our country? Very quickly, in a few seconds, and then we'll move on to another person.
So maybe to use the recently concluded by-election in Kawempe, maybe as a yardstick, really, to determine how violence is administered, who fuels this, and who benefits ultimately on the question of violence. And I think that predominantly it has become a tool of violence now is becoming a tool it's actually a strategy. And of course we've seen the biggest beneficiary has been NRM, at least in the recent past. They may not be the facilitators, but they end up being the biggest beneficiaries for the better part, and that causes a bit of fear amongst the electorate, but also using violence as a means, using the state forces to administer this. And one of the things that caught me very interesting was on the use of JAT, which is actually an elite force. and how it is being deployed in this kind of by-elections. Probably it's a prediction of what we are likely to see in the upcoming elections. But also, more importantly, I think that the thing that caught my attention is our police, our forces, in the work that they have done in the other parts of Africa and the neighboring countries. They seem to be praised that they are doing a very excellent job there. But internally here, they seem to be sometimes going over and above what they should be expected, and sometimes being a nuisance.
All right. Dr. Vij, your quick comment on the issue of election violence.
Election violence is not benefiting NRM, as my brother says. In the alternative, it is actually making us lose. Because when people fear that there is likely to be violence, that's what causes the very low voter turnout. And most of these people who don't come are actually people who support NRM. Why do I say so? They are the elderly, they are the women, and they say, these young people will beat us there, will throw stones, and it becomes even counterproductive when the party in the government now works with the government forces to say, go and protect. So I think nobody should say violence is benefiting NRM. In the alternative, it is actually failing us.
All right.
And it is failing us because the young people quite often are the ones who instigate it. And when they instigate it, in an attempt to stop it, then it causes some other spillovers.
All right.
And that's a big issue. You can even see what is happening in our own, inside our own party. Yes. You saw what happened in Romiaga the other day. You see the demonstrations that come in once in a while. But quite often, and I must say this without fear of any contradiction, violence is developed by the fear that there will be no justice. Once, for example, we're conducting elections, and somebody has a feeling that the elections will not be free and fair, there is a very high likelihood that there could be that violence. Also, there are those who know that they are going to lose. And because they know they're going to lose, they want to create excuses to cause confusion so that in the wake of elections or anything, they say, we couldn't make it because of the confusion that came in.
All right.
So we need to look at it from all perspectives.
All right. Honorable Mufumbiro.
We have suffered the most violence because, first of all, we were categorized as a party, as a militia, and I think I have cried foul on that. It is very wrong for security forces to be trained while a particular grouping of citizens are being termed as militias. That gives the reason why we are handled the way we are handled. I can tell you, you have heard General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, a CDF, comment on the forthcoming election. That is criminality. The examples that have been given by this regime is that such a person is supposed to be in the officer's mess. Now, because we have a topple of the system by the family, that is why the violence is on increment. We did not see people being punished for deploying members at polling stations. You know very well also that Nalukola was arrested, not arrested, was beaten. He was told to nominated by the Electoral Commission. The security told him not to use his vehicle. He used the foot. They told him don't walk. He decided to get onto a border. The security jet picked him from the border, beat him very badly. Right. I think we are having a hangover of being led by people who took over this country by violence, and they believe in violence. We have been warned that we will be beaten. There will be voter apathy. This all has been said by your top echelon. And I think the people in power should think wisely about violence. I mean, violence leads to loss of life.
All right.
In Kampala, a woman was killed. In Zimbabwe, somebody was killed. And if it happens in the NRM, the response is macerating. But just imagine for us who have had no dead body, we are going through. Right. People like Eddie Muto were violently arrested, abducted, beaten, Achille Chivumbi, Gaddafi, Wakabi Smart, and this all is in having the longevity of the man you want to have us for 50 years.
All right. Let's go to Mr. Gwayaka. Very quickly, your thoughts on the issue of electoral violence before we actually move on and concluding with a discussion on the issue of party corporations. We're running out of time, so please, if you can be a little bit brief.
Okay. You just need to read Museveni's university thesis. It was published in 1971, and it says Fanon's theory of violence and its justification in liberalization of Mozambique. That was his university research, basically looking at how violence helped liberate Mozambique. It tells a lot. At that time, he was a student who left university, joined the other people, and that has been the history. 1996 election, skulls were used as campaign tool, Delwero skulls. They were being published in Weekly Topic, the newspaper then. Every subsequent election, there's been violence. The formation of groups, Chifesi, Boda 2000, Kalangala Action Plan, just name it, Chiboko Squad. And it reached a point where even the opponents started forming their own groups. Because so we started by saying we shall also protect our votes, basically countering violence with violence. And in the last election, I think government, the official government position accepts 36 people were killed. Though some accounts put the number so high, much higher. So violence has been part of our elections. And me, personally, I tend to tell Ugandans, because I've been an election observer in this country, I did in other countries, I tell people, if that vote is going to cost you a life, is going to cost you a limb, you have no reason going to vote.
All right.
Keep at home instead of going to be beaten or being killed. For some.
All right, I think we're running out of time. We have to bring this discussion to an end, and unfortunately we do not have a lot of time to actually discuss the other topic that we have, but very quickly I'll give you an opportunity to say something, and I'll begin with you, Mr. Mufumbiro, on the issue of cooperation. Very quickly, are you in for it? Are you going to cooperate with these groups that have started forming a coalition, sort of?
We are studying what we are studying what they are doing.
We were actually told they are talking to you.
I'm not aware.
You are not aware.
And being the deputy spokesperson, and
will it work out?
I can't say if it will work out. When I read about it, I remembered TDA, which never worked out. Hopefully it does. I'm really hoping that different political parties can come together and we have peaceful elections.
Mr. Chemonges.
I think the hope is that opposition parties, political parties work together. However, history seems to suggest otherwise. IPC in 2011, TDA in 2016, in 2021 we had forces of change.
Intellectual dishonesty
and
by
absolutely.
the players, yeah.
So I think coalitions need to be more deliberate, need to be more targeted, as opposed to reactionary in nature.
Yeah.
Dr. James
coalition is a good idea, particularly if your ideas get closer to each other. And it is important for people to talk, by the way, including even the opposition talking to us in government. Because there are a number of things you can sit and even agree on, realistically, on how you operate. So if you have a forum where you can sit and talk, we have, for example, we had iPod. And I can see the trend going the same way, because we invited my brother and others from NUP. They said, no, we are studying. And up to now they are studying. Now, even the other opposition leaders are inviting.
We say not be part of iPod.
All right,
now,
unfortunately, we have to bring this discussion to an end.
Also studying.
We are studying. Thank you for turning up to discuss these issues, and also thank the listeners who tuned in and contributed to this discussion. Dear listeners, thank you very much for tuning into Radio 1 FM 90. Stay tuned to the same radio station, because our quality programming will continue. But for me and the guests here in studio, we wish you a fabulous weekend.